Wonder why most people think that appeals to me. Welcome back. Welcome back to another episode of Prairie Mini Project, the dumpster. A little bit accomplished to the car this week. This episode is actually going to be a little bit more about vehicles in general. Because I've been working on a bunch of other vehicles like the fleet trucks for the farm. One of our main trucks for pulling the big trailer for the sprayer, the water tank. It's a 34-foot beaver tail trailer. Truck's been really driving really weird. Steering was wandering around like a drunk sumo wrestler. So I had to do some repair work to the suspension. The stabilizer bar, the bushings were gone, and so I had to do a bunch of that stuff. But also the engine wasn't running right, and it was leaking oil like crazy. And dealerships wanted a couple of $1,000s to go in and replace a whole bunch of stuff, and they were saying, well, the fuel injector control module, the FICM, needed to be replaced, $800, and a bunch of other knickknacks and paddywhacks, and then they'd give you the bone. So not happy with that, because I changed the FICM, the FICM, and it still wasn't running right. So I went onto YouTube and I educated myself. And there was a couple of small things that people said, you should maybe try this. This might help. Because with the oil leak as well, they were saying, well, you're going to need to get a crank seal done. Right there, that's at least a $1,400 job. So, found out a few things. Lo and behold, this was what was wrong with the truck. This is an injector pressure regulator. It's the wires go in here, and oil enters here, and it pressurizes in here, and it sends a signal to the injector module. That's $180 for that little thing there. But what happens is, when this thing goes, and when it goes, you'll know about it. Oil goes up through here, goes out through the top here, into your wiring harness, and then starts throwing all kinds of wackadoodle codes. And, well, belching oil out all over your driveway, which is really doubly awesome. So yeah, you go from spending at least $1,000 for the control module, you know, probably another $1,000 to $1,500 to change an oil seal, and this was what was wrong. 180 bucks. Yeah, so don't ever take a dealership at its word. They'll fill your head full of all kinds of nonsense, and they won't even supply you with the Vaseline to make it go down that bit easier. Here's another one. We have another older diesel truck. It used to do a lot of the work, but it's sort of demoted, and I'm trying to sort of get it back together just to get rid of it. It just sits around right now. We've got too many trucks. Sad to say. Ran like a bag of hammers, and we took it to a local guy, and he said he had it fixed. He had it. Oh yeah. Bullshit. Pardon my, yeah. It started acting up within a couple of days of him looking at it, so I don't know what he did. Charged us handsomely for it. So, basically, I started going through the engine bay. I noticed that the wiring on the, because it's a 7.3 Ford, the big diesel power stroke. I started going through the top of the engine, changed a couple of sensors, because they were questionable. Changed the wiring harness in the top of the engine just below the fuel bowl, changed a bunch of hoses. The heater, there's a preheater filament that's in the bottom of the filter bowl. That's what they need over here for the diesels, especially during the winter time. It had to be replaced, so did all that stuff. It's still not running right. And of course, dealership, they want to bring it in, do all this stuff. They'll just charge you $300 before they even start doing anything. So, I went back onto the YouTubes there, And there's a couple of really good websites if you're a Ford guy. Well, not really so much in the UK, more North America. Powerstroke.com. There's a guy there, Bill Hewitt, found him information through him and a bunch of other sites, narrowed it down to this thing. It's called the IDM. It's the injector module. Same as the other one, the Fickum. This is the IDM for the older truck. So they said to try this thing out. There's a couple of things it could be, but this, it's not a huge ticket item, not like the other one. This one's only about 200 bucks. But they said take it out, get it tested. So this is what an IDM is. It's the computer. It's got, let's see if you can see it in here. It's got multi-plug pins in here, bolts. It's got a big sort of a bolt hole there. The whole thing sits in the side in the engine bay, and this runs the injectors. And like I said, it's a computer board, like a motherboard, whole bunch of wizardry gizmos in there. Anyway, I took it out and this is what I found. Have you can hear that? Pretty sure it's not supposed to have water in it. So, thanks to the YouTubes, this is the culprit. So, you know, after shelling out a bunch of money to Yahoo down the road, and then different dealerships want to bring it in, they want to give you a top to bottom, tell you this thing, that thing's wrong with it, change this, change that. Before you know it, you're about $3,000–4,000 into the job and you still don't have a clue what's wrong. Anyway, YouTubes, educate yourself. Don't take these buggers at their word. But anyway, Mini. So, as you can see, it's still upside down in the cradle here. And there's a reason for that. I don't know if you guys are focusing. There's a reason for that. Doorstep, as you can see, I finished this patch off, finished this swoop off here. I still have to do the final grind on the welds, but I didn't want to do that until it was all finally done. Finished off this little continuance here, back down to here. Like I said, it's not finished, so don't look too closely, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, I was thinking, checking it over just to make sure I'm done. I can start getting ready to hack the half of the roof off and then cut the front off and get ready to hoist it up. And then I found this. And you guys all know what that is. Sits that way in there. And I thought I got away from it. The other side, it was completely boogered. And then I got looking into this, because from the outside, it didn't look so bad. And then I happened to notice there was little pinholes down the corner here. And that showed up. So, more cutting. So, and believe you me, now knowing what I do know, I probably should have just went ahead and bought the step and the reinforcing piece. You know, the one that goes all the way up over and down to here. Because I've got about 6 hours into just this one side here. So yeah, the step would be cheaper, even with postage and stuff. But I did this more as a practice to see if I can do it. And that's sort of what this project is about, is just to do it. You know, if it doesn't work, it's whatever. This car was going to the junkyard. It was beyond savable. You've all seen the pictures. So what I did was, come back this side. So I made this patch here down to here. So I did that, welded it on before I took this side out. So then that would hold this perfectly. And then I cut this piece out, and then I had to come round the corner on this piece as well. I'll spin around here. Like I said, it's just tacked in for now. So I had to make the reinforcing piece for this plate that's in here, and it goes around the corner to there, down to there. I haven't finished trimming it, so don't pay too much attention to that. We won't talk about that. And then after that was done, I had to make this dog leg here into here, but it's also wedge shaped. It gets wider as it comes up to the top before the window pillar. So yeah, I did it the smart way this time because I learned my lesson. I folded the flange and popped the holes in with where is he? There he is, old pistol grip there. Popped the holes down there, and then I managed to pop some holes down this side, but then I had to drill these by hand. And I did it all with 18 gauge. I didn't bother using the two different thicknesses because I think minis are 20 gauge and then 16, and the other stuff I have is 14, which is way too heavy. It's actually hard for the press too. So it's both 18, so it's strong. And the nice thing with that is it's a lot easier to weld because this stuff doesn't like when it's a little thin. It doesn't like too much heat, as you guys all know. So this is almost done. Like I said, I've just got to finish up the welds on there, grind that down, and then this is done. Like I said, the other side was already done. The window corners. I remember I said to you guys that I had made patches for these. I can't even see the light here. I had made patches for these. Both sides are buggered. But when I was doing the order for all the size that the patches were and for all the cost, it was like £13, I think it was. I just bought them. You know, they are what they are. They're fine. They're fine for what I'm doing. So yeah, what I'll do is I'll cut the back section of the roof off. I have to trim some of the eaves off, the gutter, drip rail, whatever it is you call it. I'll have to trim some of that off. I'll leave this off for now, but I'll brace it, and then I'll cut that off, and then just gonna build a frame up here to lift this on and bring the car over. So that's gonna be hopefully here in the next week. Yeah, because well, that's the air conditioner. I'm trying to fish it out of here without taking it apart because I don't want to spill the gas because it's awful stuff. Really toxic. But it is funny how much space that opens up in there. So I started trimming down the firewall back down to the single piece, because up here it's actually two pieces. That piece went inside the car and this piece was the outside of the car, where the wiper motor and all the intakes were. So that's where I'm at. Oh, the wind's getting up. We've got a storm coming in tonight, our first storm of the year. Woo! So I'm going to get off to bed because yet again it's after 2, and I will wish you, what the hell's a bish you? I will wish you a bon voyage and a tatty bye for now.